This is from GamesRadar.com, and it says Zack Snyder confirms his Justice League will be released as a movie, not a miniseries. And I don't know if you had heard about this, Dave. I think this is really kind of weird and interesting. So apparently, somebody just asked, Zack Snyder directly on the internet whether his Justice League cut was indeed going to be a miniseries or it was going to be a big long movie. And he says it's going to be a big long movie, apparently 4 hours long. And this is really weird because at the DC Fandom event, they specifically said that this was going to be a miniseries because it is so long. It's 4 hours. So the idea was that it was going to come out in 4 parts and essentially be a miniseries. Well, now we're just going to get this big long movie. And also along with this is there's all sorts of rumors that Zack Snyder is actually pushing for a theatrical release, which is interesting because, of course, HBO Max has started this weird model where they're releasing their films both in the theater and on their platform at the same time. Obviously, they did that with Wonder Woman 1984. And apparently, Zack Snyder wants to get in on that. But I don't know how a 4-hour movie would work in the theaters, during a pandemic. I don't know if this is the height of hubris or what. Do you have any reaction to this, Dave?
Well, I feel like, and I've read a lot of these stories too, I feel like that what's happening with the Snyder Cut is that I feel like Warner's or AT&T or whoever, they're moving forward with this because it's kind of like an interesting way to market HBO Max. You know what I mean? Like from a marketing ploy standpoint, because it has such a diehard fan base. But I think because we'd heard that too, speculation that maybe they might release this in parts because it's 4 hours. We had heard that. Well,
it wasn't speculation. That was announced at DC Fandom. That was an official thing that it was going to be released as a miniseries.
Well, I think that what we're seeing now is with the release of Wonder Woman 84, with what's happening with the decimation of DC, with AT&T making the cuts.
The decimation of DC.
Yeah. I think that what we're seeing here is I think this is Warner's walking away from the quote-unquote Snyder verse, because there's been a lot of talk about this. People were speculating and excited about the idea like, he'll come back and do Justice League 2, and there was talk about like a comic book series that tied into the Snyderverse, and there was all this talk about all these amazing things that were going to happen once the Snyder Cut hit. I feel like all this stuff is signaling everybody. I hate to shock you, but I feel like after they drop this Snyder Cut version of the Justice League, Warner's is walking away from this, and this is it.
Well, that's the official party line. That's straight from the mouth of the head of Warner Media. I did see a story about that came out last week. They straight up said that this is this is just a one-shot deal. But I still have to think. I mean, obviously, we've talked about how AT&T does some really strange things, right? They've made some really questionable business decisions. But I can't imagine. I really just can't imagine if it's a big hit, they're going to do something with it. They have to. They can't be that dense. You know what I mean? Success breeds success, right? So it's like if it works, it feels like they have to do something with it. And also, we keep talking about this that DC is behind the curve on this, but they obviously want to do it. DC has its own multiverse as well. You know what I mean? So you could have the Snyderverse and still continue, down the path that the what's I guess referred to as the DC. What is it, the DCEU? I don't even know what the terms are anymore. As far as
they never
DC does so many different universes. It's crazy to me. I can't keep track of it. And I've never understood why Warner does that. I really don't. Because obviously the CW is like its own thing. Then you have something like Gotham that's completely out there on its own, right? And then you have what they're doing in the movies, and now you have a divergence here, right? And obviously the Flashpoint movie, right? The Flash movie is going to solidify that multiverse, right? Like they're going to have the Michael Keaton version of Batman. That's been like confirmed. It's going to be the Michael Keaton version of Batman. How he is today, but it's going to be connected to this multiverse. So again, I just feel like if it's successful, they got to do something with it.
Well, here's kind of my hot take. So one of the things they tried to show us in the CW, Crisis event was that all of this stuff is connected. and I do feel like that obviously with the films moving forward, it does feel like that there's obviously some very clear decisions made specifically in relation to the Flash movie where they want to do that, right? With the casting of Michael Keaton, there's a lot of talk that Ben Affleck's Batman may also be in the film in some capacity.
I think that's confirmed. I think that's not a rumor. That's confirmed. That's going to be his last. In fact, I think he said this is the last time I'm going to be Batman, because there was speculation that there might actually be like some sort of Batman series on HBO Max with the Ben Affleck version of Batman, which was another interesting idea. Again, that was kind of, I think, where we were starting talking about that whole Snyderverse concept. But as far as I understand it, Ben Affleck has basically gone on record as saying, no, the Flash movie is going to be my last time.
So I want to roll this back just for a second, because you're correct that they have quote unquote announced that. But if we go a little bit further back in time, they also had that big event with Kevin Smith, and they announced all kinds of stuff that ain't going to happen now. So all I'm going to say is that, again, with what's been going on since AT&T took control of Warner Brothers and DC Comics, I'll believe it when I see it. But, and I'll say this too, I've already said this, I'm a diehard DC guy. I used to do work for DC Comics. I love DC Comics. Some of my favorite characters, some of my favorite, just characters of all time. Talking about Batman, Green Arrow, like I love Green Arrow. I'm a huge Flash guy. I love these characters. So I'm very excited for what they're going to do, and I hope they do the multiverse idea. The only thing I'm saying is that by the time they get to it, Marvel will have already walked this ground and maybe circling back, because they're already actively rolling stuff out right now. It looks like it's tapping into the multiverse. So by the time DC actually starts filming, Marvel will be done with this concept. So just like they always do. But anyhow,
and I have to add, because this is my thing, I always say it, and there's still the possibility also that Star Wars will also do this first. I still think that this Favreau Filoni verse is going to happen, because they feel like they've got to fix the whole situation with Baby Yoda. Because if you follow the Disney continuity, Baby Yoda is going to die. He's going to be killed by Kylo Ren, and I don't think they want that. So I think you are going to see a Favreau Filoni verse, and it's going to be introduced with like the Ahsoka show, or the Rangers of the New Republic, that show, or the Boba Fett show, because they've got so many things going, and they're going to happen. You know what I mean? That stuff is happening.
Well, and there's a lot of people who talked about that. Obviously, the Veil of the Force idea that's gonna come into play in the Ahsoka show.
That's a big Doomcock thing, I think. Actually, Doomcock talks about that.
Right. So we'll see how this all unfolds. All I'm saying is, in relation to this, I'll believe it when I see it. One, and number two, they're very clearly sending the message to all the fanboys that no, once we're done with the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League, we're done with all this nonsense. We're not coming back to it. I thought they're very clearly trying to tell everyone that once we
they have said that
we're done.
They have said that. They're on record saying.
But what I'm saying is, I think they're trying to quell all the speculation that's been going on. People like, oh, if they do this, then they'll do that, and then like they're just trying to basically just say no, we're not. We're
I think that they're trying. My personal opinion is, I think they're trying to lower expectations just a little bit. That's my personal opinion. You know what I mean? I think that they want to kind of just see what happens. You know what I mean? And then go from there. That's the way I would do it. I don't know if that's actually what they're doing, but I feel like that's what they're doing.
To me, this all reeks of exit strategy. Like I feel like that once they're done with this, they want to make sure everybody understands we're not doing this again. Because there's been a lot of calls in the fan community for the David Ayer cut of the Suicide Squad movie. So I'm just telling you, they're very clearly trying to send the message. No, we know you're all speculating, having fun with this, but once we're done with this, we're not coming back to this. This is over.
And that's exactly why I think it's the opposite.
I think they're done. I think they're done. I could be totally wrong with this, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I think they're definitely done with this. I feel like they spent more wrapping up this version of the Snyder Cut than they intended to spend, and I feel like they're definitely going to be done. That's my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell.
Right. I just tell you, I think I'm right. Okay.
And I'm just disagreeing with you. That's all. I have a different opinion.